Welcome to the Bourbon Life Podcast, your source for all things bourbon. Join your hosts, Mark and Matt, as they drink and review bourbons, share news about upcoming events, interview the who's who in the bourbon world, and, most importantly, bring you along for the fun of living the bourbon life. Now, here's your hosts, Mark and Matt.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Life Podcast, the first episode of 2026. We are back, and we are back around the flights of the rectangular table. I got my good buddy and bourbon drinking friend Matt here with me. Matt, how you doing, man?
Mark, I'm great. How about yourself?
I'm great. I'm excited to be back. It has been a hot minute since we have done, other than the crew episode in December.
Yeah, it really has. I think we averaged, whopping 4 shows or something last year, 4 or 6.
We were on a bit of a hiatus.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my new job I've adjusted to it now. Fortunately, you had a newer job, so
yeah.
That was a lot to deal with. So trying to get our schedules and everybody else's schedules. But hey, man, we're back.
That's right. New year, new us.
New year, new me, and new you, new us. Right. New Bourbon Life Podcast. I didn't change the logo or anything, man. So still the same old, right? No money for that. But we're thrilled to be back. We got one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. We'll get to that in just a second. We want to thank all of our sponsors, of course, for everything they do for us. We can't bring you the show without all their help. With that said, Matt, go ahead, tell everybody who we have with us.
Absolutely. We've got the former star of episodes 144 and 249. We've actually got her live this time. Both other times were virtual, so we are very excited to have her back. And she is the co-founder and master blender at the Blending House, Miss Ashley Barnes. Welcome on back to the Bourbon Life Podcast.
Thanks for having me. I didn't realize I'd already done 2, but...
You have done 2. I know.
Wow.
We should have done more. I mean, because we talk about it all the time.
We talk a lot.
We do. I know. It's like I see you and then occasionally we'll text and it's like, yeah, we'll get together. We'll do a show. And it's like, never works out. But last year was kind of a...
It was wild. There was a lot that went on last year.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was just hard. It was hard for us to get our stuff together, but yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, we'll see. So we you know, it's okay. We're making up for lost time today. Mm-hmm. And you're here.
Definitely.
You're here in the Bourbon Life Studios, otherwise known as my basement.
You know what? I'm excited to be here because I think this is going to be even more fun to be in person doing this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be even better.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny because you're one of my favorite people in the industry. You're one of my favorite people.
I appreciate it. You're one of my favorites too.
But in the industry for sure. And you helped me out so much when I was doing the Master of Bourbon program. You were very kind and worked with me to help me in terms of developing my palate. Unfortunately, that has all gone to the wayside because my palate sucks. Because I don't practice it enough, Ashley. I mean, that's just the way it is. So, but you're very gracious and very kind to help me with that. So
anytime.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
we can do a refresher.
I need one. I'm going to have one. After we do our tasting notes today, you'll realize what I mean.
That's why we got Matt.
No, exactly. Look, you've got me worried. Talking before the show about what we're about to get into here.
It's super fun. Nothing technical. But it's also a little peek into some of what I do and some of the decisions and things that I have to think through as a master blender when I'm creating something, or even if I'm looking for consistencies in something that we've already got out on the shelf. So it's a really fun exercise to do, especially.
She's testing us, Matt. She's
but this is cool. This is exactly like you just said, Ashley. This is sort of a glimpse behind everybody. Yeah. I don't know if people think it's just pull some samples, throw some barrels together, put it on the shelf, and everybody loves it. But no, it's much more in depth. And so this is going to be a fun walkthrough, behind the curtain. And
we may get a little chemistry in there too. I mean, that's kind of my thing. I like to talk about the compounds and how they're developed. And this is a really fun exercise I've been doing. And you guys are probably one of the last ones to get to use these particular samples. I'm in the process of making new ones. So
awesome. Well,
we can even do it again sometime and it'll be totally different.
Awesome. I love that. I mean, you always put us through the paces. You put me through the paces on my tasting as well, because I'd be like, I kind of taste this. And you're like, do you really taste that? I'm like, okay, maybe I don't really taste that Ashley, but it was the whole wheated bourbon thing that you're like, like strawberries and pastries and things like that. And I'm like, I don't see that. But now everything I taste, I'm like, I get strawberries.
See, you didn't lose it. It's still there. It's just there, right? Buried under layers.
That's what it is. It's all this new job stuff. It's all the legal. I got to move all that junk out of my mind and just focus on bourbon, right?
Right. Yeah. You need like a whole bourbon category that just lock it up. This never gets touched.
Yeah.
Doesn't get buried under.
That's a good idea. So this first, and you brought us some gifts as well, which is very nice. Can I show the bottle? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
So it's one of the brands that you have, Lucky 7. So thank you.
That was my summer project. That's what I like to call it. We released for a bourbon festival. Was the first time everybody got to taste that. It is our Lucky 7 small batch.
And it says to my good friend Mark. Oh, thank you, Ashley. What was the one I had you sign a bottle of EJ Curley once that was like to the. I know it's around here somewhere. I'll have to see if I can find that. It was so fun.
It was deep.
Yeah, it was a lot of writing on that bottle, but you're such a good sport to do that, Ashley. So this first one we got poured up. We're not going to say what it is, obviously. So how would you like to? You're the master here, so you tell us what you'd like us to do. If we want to nose it first, or
I want to nose it first.
Okay.
We'll nose it, and then we'll talk about it a little bit, and then we're gonna taste it.
Okay.
And then just kind of store that, like, okay, this is what number one is. But I'm curious, after we taste it, kind of what do you think the price point on something like this would be?
Okay.
All of these are at 90 proof, so we're comparing apples to apples here.
Okay.
And that's pretty much all the information I'm going to give you.
That's it. Okay.
That's it. I will say yes, you're right, or no, you're not. If you ask questions, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about flavors, and I'm curious what you guys come up with.
Very nice.
Well, I guess it's 90 proof, so I can get one right from the start. Yeah.
Actually,
I'm not going to knock your socks off with this one.
Just on the first nose, I'm going to say 90 proof, maybe around there. Is that pretty good?
Yep. Pretty spot on.
And as normal, I'm just going to say, hey, Matt, what do you pick up on this one, man?
I really like the nose. 90 proof, it's got a lot going on to it. At first, it was sweet and caramel, but I'm getting more like herbal mint notes are coming through. There's some spearmint, a little bit of like green herbs, maybe like a fresh cut grass type note.
Like fresh alfalfa a little bit, a little floral almost in there.
Yeah.
I like to call it like, and this is 100% my memory sensory bank is like a, when you walk into a florist, and if there's got a fresh bunch of flowers in that, it's floral, it's flowers, but it's a very distinctive smell.
Yeah.
Like herbal floral is what I call it in my notes typically, but that florist smell.
Mm-hmm. See, it smells fruity to me when I say fruity.
Yeah,
I can get like a cooked apple.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. See, I can't be that specific, but it just, when I smell it, I'm like, I smell fruit and not like specific, I don't want it, not strawberry, not cherry, but.
Yeah, it's like a light fruit.
Yeah, but I get that. Yeah, but the herbal, I don't detect as much herbal, but the floral, when you said that, it was like, I get that. I understand what you're saying. Matt, anything else that stands out to you on this?
Yeah, I like the floral, the cooked apple, or I get like white grape.
Yep.
Almost like a little grape must, or like a black currant, like a light black currant, or like some sort of like a red berry or cranberry.
Almost stone fruit, but not quite like a dried or a grilled, just that lighter fruit flavor.
Yeah.
When you think of like strawberries or blackberries, it's a deeper, richer note.
Yeah.
So this is very light. Kind of hits more on the EJ Curley kind of profile, that lighter, approachable, fresh fruit.
Gotcha. So now, are you telling us anything with regard to mash bill at all, or is that that's?
I will tell you if you're right or wrong. I'm curious what you think the mash bill is, because we'll discuss it on each one.
Yeah. Any other tasting notes you want to throw out though before we get? Because we'll taste it here in just a minute if that's okay.
I think Matt's really hit them all. We've talked about the key things, and that I think it's important to point out that lighter fruit. That'll be important later.
Okay, the lighter fruit. So Ashley, it is your third time. Congratulations. We don't have a lot of three-time guests. That just means we really, really like you.
Do you get a badge or something?
We've talked about this, and
That's right.
I haven't done anything, but I talked about, because we had like maybe 3 people that had been on 4 times, and I've talked about like getting a fleece, because I usually used to wear fleeces, but new year, new me, no more fleeces.
Oh,
but
you're dressed all snazzy.
Everybody's going to get a green Masters jacket.
Get a green jacket,
sports coat
says
with
the Bourbon Life on it.
Yeah. I would wear it with pride.
Yeah, well, we may have to come up with a plan to make that happen for next time. 4-time guest, you get a green jacket like the Masters turn.
Yeah,
that'll work. So give us kind of a refresher for people that haven't listened. I mean, they can always go back again to episodes 144 and 249. But give us a refresher on Ashley and your background, your experience, and how you got where you are.
So, I mean, it's the Cliff Notes version of the life of Ashley.
I was an expert on those in high school. I mean, that's the only thing that got me through English class was Cliff Notes.
They were so helpful.
Absolutely, right.
Now everybody just like Googles it and
AI
pops it all up.
Like, that was back when you had to buy the Cliff Note, the physical Cliff Note, the
black and yellow Cliff Note book. Right? You actually had to find it and buy it.
Yeah, you had to find it, search it, and then go to that plate. Yeah, I had so many of those, especially in like literature.
Yeah, absolutely.
I needed a lot of help there.
You and me both.
So I started at Buffalo Trace in 2012. I had to go through this today, and I had to think really hard on dates. It was so bad. I was like, oh man, I hadn't thought about that. So,
2012.
2012.
Does it seem like, I'm already interrupting you, but that's 13 going in 14 years.
Yeah, it does not seem that long.
Wow. You don't look old enough. So you started when you were 11, right?
Right, when I was about 10 or 11 or so.
That's what I figured,
Yeah. Yeah, it was like pre-babies.
Yeah.
That's how my life is like. Was that before Clay or after Brody? Yeah, it's wild trying to think of dates these days.
Sure.
Mom brain.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was 2012. Around September, actually, because I remember starting, and it was straight into Bourbon Fest when they still had the concerts.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, okay, I could get into this industry. But one of the key things about that is I had a tasting interview with Buffalo Trace. And I was coming from the pharmaceutical world, so you didn't taste anything. I was working with very dangerous chemicals. And I was like...
You drank what?
Yeah, I know, right? And so I was like, okay, well, how do I spit in front of my potential new boss, first of all, and keep that classy? But I could taste things that others were struggling with or identify things, so I could say, well, this is different.
Yeah.
And I couldn't say at that point what it was that was different, but I could say, hey, this one's different. I just went through and I thought I failed this test big time. It was, I was like on the phone with my mom, like, oh my gosh, this would have been the greatest job ever. It's chemistry, it's history, it's all these really fun things that I love. And I have no clue what I just did. But fortunately, actually, I think I was still on the phone with her when they called and offered me the job.
Wow.
And so it was the first time I noticed that I was really aware that I tasted things a little different than others.
Was that the vodka test or something?
The vodka test was the one that stood out. There were 3 vodkas, and one of them had like 2 drops of gin in it.
I remember you telling that story before, and that stuck with me. I was going to mention that earlier. I was like, no, hopefully you'll tell it when you're.
I had never had gin in my life. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, but you could tell, obviously, that.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what it is, but that is very different. And I always just thought I was picky. I didn't realize that was actually a thing, to have a palate that, is so sensitive you could smell and taste things differently.
Right.
So, I got to brag a little bit, but like, yeah, you all thought I was picky. Watch this. So using that, I did my chemistry thing. I was brought on as tech, and I did a lot of the chemical analysis, but a big part of my job was testing products, switching over the line. You didn't want your vodka to taste like Fireball.
Right.
Things.
Right, sure.
So we wanted to make sure the lines were clean. Was very, very fortunate and blessed that Drew Mabel took me under his wing and started teaching me kind of the basics of blending there. And I absolutely fell in love. I am the weird kid that loves math and science, and I got to use all of those things. So I got exposed to blending in several different capacities there. Rum, tequila, flavored products. And just how to adjust things and how filtering and processing changes the flavor.
Yeah.
And so I learned so much there. But a little headhunter called me, and I had the opportunity to interview with Four Roses. And I knew that I wanted to grow within the industry. And it was okay, am I going to do this? Or, it gives me the chance to really focus on bourbon and expand more. So I accepted that opportunity, and Four Roses, Mr. Brent Elliott stole me from Buffalo Trace.
I'm glad he did, because you put out some wonderful small batch, the limited editions especially, those,
Yeah, it was great. So I got to work with Brent, and Jim was still there when I first came on, and got to work alongside Al Young.
Wow.
And I learned so many things from all of them. Brent and I were really the only quality control entities for Four Roses at the time. Of course, we were in Lawrenceburg and bottling in Bardstown and Cox's Creek. So, all the things I learned running the line at Buffalo Trace, I got to use and help set up process procedures. But some of the coolest things was just blending in general. Blending for products that were going overseas for the different areas from Japan to Australia to Europe. There are different flavor profiles that really go towards each.
So you did? I didn't realize that. I didn't know that. So you actually did blend different profiles for different countries.
What we're looking for in a product like Super Premium that's going to Japan, is a lot different than what we're looking for in small batch for the U.S.
Right.
And so really recognizing what those different consumer bases, when are they consuming that whiskey? When are they going to drink it? How is it perceived? Is it a culture thing? Is it a tradition?
Yeah.
And really working that into what you're looking for in the end profile. I sampled and evaluated a lot of barrels there. Did a lot with the private barrel program, picking batches for that and the single barrels, inventory. My inventory looks a lot different than most people's, because that means I'm tasting a ton of barrels. And there it was, there even at Buffalo Trace, I did a lot by smell, because, there was so many and they've been doing it for a long time. So consistency was huge. But if you're going through and you're smelling all of these samples, if something stands out, then you go back and revisit it. And you can take representative samples from each batch versus looking at all of them. Whereas now,
makes sense.
I'm working in a different capacity, so I actually smell and taste and evaluate every barrel of no matter what it is. And we've got some of the inventories at the blending house. I'll do representative samples because we've got, by April, we'll have 140,000. And we're over 80% capacity right now. So.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, our 7th rick house is built.
It is? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we are. It was a bittersweet day when they were finishing up, and I was like, wow, I fuss about all these, everything comes in on a 53-foot trailer, and I always fussed about them because if you weren't careful, the truck drivers would block you in. And I was like, I won't get to fuss at them anymore. But it was so bittersweet because it's such a cool thing to watch them, the way the Carax rick houses are built, they come in on these trailers and they're in units, and it's just lifted by the crane and set into place. And to be such an immaculate and just beautiful rick house in general, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like adult Lincoln logs. They just set them down.
And I feel bad because I keep saying, I'm going to come out and visit, and I haven't come out to visit.
You were supposed to come out when the blending house was just dirt.
I know. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. We're bottling now. We're rocking and rolling.
Well, the last time you were here, I think you guys were just getting to the point it wasn't finished. The bottling wasn't finished. And I think you had maybe 5 rick houses at that time, about a year and a half or so ago.
Yeah,
so everything's
they've gone up quick. The efficiency that they are able to build those with, and one of many things is we use Southern Yellow Pine, and everything is CNC lasered. It is. So the warehouse one was kind of proof of concept. It's actually seismically rated.
Wow.
So not only is it beautiful, you can physically walk through and touch any barrel. It is so safe, with fall prevention aspects built into it, and the convection aging, and we can go on more and more. We'll talk about that as we get through the story, through this, but I want to get back to the sample too. It's just, if there's a tornado, I'm going to warehouse 1.
Okay, good to know.
So, it was, and then they're just very efficient in building them with the way they've got them designed.
And then, so after Four Roses, then you started
So then I took a leap of faith.
Yeah.
So Monica Wolf, my business partner, I don't think I would have survived this with anyone else. She is such an amazing person, and then just in business as well.
Yeah.
So her dad, Richard Wolf, ran Buffalo Trace for a while. And when he left that, he started working in the craft industry. And so she was working in the defense industry.
Really?
And
Wow.
he was working on a project over Christmas, and she was moving from, I think, D.C. back to Texas, and was like, I think I'm just going to stay home. Like, moved into her parents' basement and
Wow.
started learning any and everything she could. She worked at Buffalo Trace over her summers because he took over at Buffalo Trace like right as she graduated high school.
Yeah.
So the whole family moved to Kentucky.
Yeah.
And so she would spend her summers working at Buffalo Trace and learning. And
Yeah.
she was like, you know what? I'm going to do this with that. And so she was consulting with him and actually came through my lab at Four Roses on a tour with a group that wasn't on the schedule. And we got to give hats off to her husband, Justin, for that, because pretty sure he's the one who weaseled his way in. Like, I get a phone call from the tour guides, like, hey, there's a group from Benny's here. And I had never been to Benny's. I didn't know what it was. And I was like, but I knew we always rolled out the red carpet. And I was like, well, send them down.
Yeah.
So I just threw some stuff together I was working on, and I did a tasting for them and made an impression. Apparently, she put my name in the hat to be a whiskey judge for American Craft Spirits, which was in Louisville that year. So I got to do that, and I met her at the mingle on the first night, and we became quick friends. And
the rest is history,
the rest is
right?
really history. Yeah. She, we bonded, we talked about what she did and what I was doing, and I was looking for more.
Yeah.
I knew I loved what I did, but I didn't feel like I was progressing. And I knew deep down that there was more for me.
Sure.
So as I started entertaining some offers from some craft places, I reached out to her and Richard and was like, hey, what do you think of these distilleries? Is this a good opportunity? I do not want to take a risk of leaving here for something that maybe is not going to last.
Right.
And through that, there was a lot of your life, do what you do, but you're better than that. And we kind of came to the conclusion that I should consult, because they brokered bulk whiskey. And she's like, what are they doing with barrels once we sell them?
Yeah.
And so Richard didn't really want employees. And she was like, okay, we'll start our own consulting company. So we did. And that's where the Spirits Group was born.
That's awesome. That's great. I love your story. I mean, it's very cool. Almost 14 years now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Let's jump back to the sample, because we're
Yeah.
pushing up on the end of round one here already. Matt, throwing it to you, man.
All right. It's right on the front of the palate. It's a little thin and oily, and then sweetness. I get sweet, like a saccharin type sweet, like think, what am I trying to say with sac? Like a fruit sweet, nondescript fruit sweet.
Like a phenolic sweet.
Yes.
Almost medicinal, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, almost. Phenolic sweet kind of gets that like cherry cough syrup note to me.
I got you. Yeah.
To me, I'm thinking like almost like a sugar water type sweet, whether it's just like a fruit or like like boiled honey, like making a hot toddy.
Oh yeah.
If you were to just like do honey and water before you add in whiskey or lemon or something, just there's like a really nice kind of a sweetness to it. Then it lends to kind of a peppery, a little bit more spice comes through on it.
Yeah, like a light, like you put a cinnamon stick in that honey and water you're heating up for your hot toddy.
Yeah, I can see that. Almost. Go ahead, Mark. I got to get back in this.
Well, I'm gonna just guess and say that this is probably higher rye, because the way it hits my palate, it gives and I know it's only 90 proof, so that tells me that it's not a high proof bourbon, which sometimes makes my palate think that it's high rye. But that pepper note that Matt talked about, I get the same thing when I taste it. It's that initial sweetness, which kind of lends again back to me. It was almost like that light fruit type on the nose, but I like the honey water that you said, but then it turned into that peppery, more cinnamon to me, really. And so that kind of led me to think that this may be a higher rye, just the way it impacts my palate. So it is a higher rye?
It is a higher rye.
Oh. All right, I got that much of it right.
I would describe it as the flavors are there, but they're not necessarily defined.
Yeah.
Like it's not 100% this is apple or this is peach. They're nice, they're approachable. I would anticipate this for probably, I'm not going to actually, what price point do you think this would be? Because I don't want to influence.
Okay. I would say this higher rye, 90 proof. I think this is a good conversational whiskey. Like we were saying, Ashley, where it doesn't tell you this is all apple or this is all cherry or oak. And, sometimes you can't really debate that. It's just, if it tastes like that, you know it. Whereas this, I think, can go a lot of different ways. There was that little bit of spice, that cinnamon, there's that sweetness, but like what kind of sweetness was it on the nose? There's some of those like herbal or grassy, earthy notes, but like what were those notes? And so like a good whiskey to sit and talk around and really have conversation about. I would say 35 to 45.
Yeah.
I was going to guess probably like the $50 to $60 range, a little bit higher price.
I could see. Yeah, it's a good approachable intro bourbon.
I was going to say, to me, this is something that I think for someone who is newer to bourbon and you want to get them into it without overwhelming them in one direction, that this would be something they could do, they could taste and enjoy.
Yeah, and be able to say fruit, spice.
Right.
Yeah.
Fruit and spice.
Yeah, those big flavors are defined, but they're defined in their own category, but they're not, that next layer of true identity of what are those.
Can we ask the age, or do we need to guess the age?
It's around 4.5.
Okay, I was going to say right around 5. So, okay. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, I would say $20 to $30 range.
Okay.
Would be, if I didn't know what I know, kind of where I would look and probably put this.
Okay. Well, then I overpriced it. So,
but that's okay. That's an important. It'll come through here in a minute.
Okay. All right.
You'll see what I'm getting to.
All right. So we're good with the sample then,
yes,
and we're good with round 1. So let's take a quick break, and we'll get a word from our sponsors. We'll come back with more with Ashley Barnes with, I'm going to say, the Blending House. I was going to say, I'm like checking my notes to make sure the Blending House. In just a minute.
It's on my shirt.
Right on the sweatshirt. Yeah. She brought her own master's jacket with logo and everything.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, sit tight. We'll be right back.
Three Chords line of whiskeys embody the spirit of creativity. The whiskey is a true collaboration between producer and composer Neil Giraldo and master blender distiller Ari Sussman. The Three Chord team of expert blenders, coopers, and sensory professionals have developed a multi-step process they call Perfectly Tuned Taste. This process begins by carefully selecting the finest bourbon and rye whiskeys from Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana, and then blending them together. Find out more about the whiskeys and distribution in your area at www.threechordbourbon.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and we're ready for round 2. And with me here, of course, here in the Bourbon Life Studios is my good friend, my bourbon drinking buddy, Matt. Matt, how you doing down there at the end of the table, man?
Mark, I'm good down here at the end of this table.
I'm a little rusty, Matt.
Well, it's understandable. We've kind of fallen off the horse a little bit.
It's been a hot minute.
It has, but
I'm doing my best. I'm feeling my way through.
That's right. Hey, we're as long as you pushed record at the beginning of all of this, I think we're in good shape.
Because at some point, I'm sure if people are watching it on YouTube, they'll see me because my head turned, my eyes went to every device, and I'm like, did I hit record on everything? But yes, fortunately, halfway through the first round, I realized I had done that. So we're good to go. But yeah, Matt, it's nice to be back. Oh, it's great to be back. I love doing this. And it's so funny because we talk about this all the time, during the day, regular work, and you're like, oh man, I'm so tired. I'm going to do a podcast. And then we start doing it, and I'm like, God, this is so awesome. And it's like, I just want to do this all the time. It's like, maybe one of these days, maybe. Got to be more consistent though, right, Matt? I mean,
yeah, that's right.
Consistency.
Nobody goes to work 4 days a year.
Yeah,
like
we should have told everybody Happy New Year too, right? So
Happy New Year,
our first show. Yeah, this is season 7, believe it or not, which is crazy. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, because 2020 was season 6 or season 1. 21 was 2. 23 was 22 was 3. 23 was 4. 24 was 5. 25 was technically season 6, even though there
season
wasn't
5.5.
Yeah. Maybe
anyway, whatever.
Whatever. Right.
It's not getting any better from here. So
no, still rusty.
No.
Still shaking out the cobwebs here.
It's only you can only go up from here.
Thank you so much.
That's right.
And speaking of wonderful people,
absolutely,
Matt, tell everybody who
it's great that we get guests that tell it to us and to our listeners how it really is.
Absolutely,
I do my best.
we appreciate it. We've got back with us Ashley Barnes, co-founder, master blender at the Blending House, and we're excited to get into round 2 here. So what do we have going on?
So now we have our second sample of these blind samples. I'm kind of testing you guys, not really. We're just talking
you are.
and discussing.
I always feel nervous. I'm starting to sweat now.
There's no wrong answers, though. There's absolutely no wrong answers. Everything's 90 proof. We're just discussing them.
But between the two of you guys, it's like you guys are talking and pinging back and forth on tasting notes, and I'm just sitting over here like, yep. I get it. So it's like watching two masters at work. So.
But you got a great jacket on. That's nice.
Thanks,
That's
man.
a nice jacket.
It's a shacket. It's a shacket. It's the new thing. It's a shirt.
That's snazzy. That's the first thing I commented on when I got here. I was like,
jacket.
He doesn't wear sweatpants. He doesn't wear pullover fleeces anymore.
Fleeces.
I mean, this summer, you're probably not even going to wear cargo shorts, are you?
Matt, we told you earlier I purged my closet and got rid of like 5 pairs of shorts. I think I have 2 left, and I'm not even sure that those are going to... I don't know what I'm going to wear in the summer now, Matt. But yeah, the cargo shorts are...
Well, I hope you figure it out before then. So.
Yeah, hopefully there's something.
The Pantsless Bourbon Life Podcast.
I trust Miss Anita.
Hours. Yes.
She will make sure you are put together.
Yes, Mrs. Bourbon Life will always make sure that I'm put together. Oh my gosh. All right, so jumping back to this sample.
Yeah, no kidding.
Matt, what do you pick up? Have you nosed it yet?
No, I've not even gotten
I haven't made it there yet.
I'm sorry.
I haven't either. So, well, I gave it... Actually, you know what? When you first poured it, I nosed it, and it was like a fleeting whiff, almost of butterscotch to me, but that was gone. It was kind of funny, but I got a sweetness. To me, it hit initially as almost like butterscotch, but now that I've gone back to it, that's completely gone. I did get more of a fruit note on this one, and a little, not like the light fruit like that one, the first one, but this one was more almost lending to me like what I think of like a cherry note, something like that. That was really, that's about as far as I got because I took just 2 quick whiffs. But the initial, it was like a hint of butterscotch, but then it was like, maybe it's just caramel kind of, I don't know, but the cherry came through after that. So now I'm going to turn it back to the experts. So Matt.
This one to me is sweet again on the nose. I pick up a little more oak, maybe a little bit more barrel influence, some more vanillas come out on it, a little bit more of that toasted or charred note. There's just like the presence of wood is there in this one, be it charred or toasted. There's a sweetness to it. For some reason, to me, kind of smells a little bit like pecan pie.
I could go like toasted pecans on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the barrel note, the barrel influence is definitely there. It's more of an aged, it smells, comes across as a higher aged product.
Yeah.
And that fleeting, talk about a fleeting thing, I got rose and jasmine on the front, they were very defined, but fleeting.
Yeah.
Which for me is very frustrating because I'm like, if I'm blending and working on a project, I'm like, no, I don't want you to go away. I want you to stay.
Right.
But it evolves quickly on the nose. And those nice warm oak notes, like a toasted marshmallow or toasted graham cracker, like making campfire s'mores.
You know, you talked about the first one being light. This one to me, I don't want to say heavy. It's
a little more medium.
Yeah, more. It's not like light and floral like the first one. This one has a little more depth to it, maybe, or richness potentially. I think in terms of vocabulary for me, I mean, just kind of a richer nose to it.
Like I feel like it would be a nice Manhattan pour.
Ooh, yeah.
Where that at first might have been better for a little old fashioned experience.
That makes sense. Yeah, I like the nose on it. We'll come back to the palate here in a few minutes, but we had the Cliff Note version of Ashley in the first round. Let's talk about the business now, because we led up with the Cliff Notes to the actual business, and you guys started your group. So let's talk about the blending house and what that is. We talked about it a little bit on your last show, but we didn't go into a lot of big detail on that. So Share with us.
Now we are up and running. We have our 7 rick houses, which is, we're not going to build any more on that property. So we should have everything filled by April or so, which will be about 140,000 barrels.
So there were 20,000. Is it 20,000?
20,000 per rick
thinking.
house.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's, one aspect of it is contract storage. Of course, we store our brands, EJ Curley and Lucky 7 there as well. But we also have this lovely little facility called the Blending House. It's a blending and bottling facility. We are built, basically, I designed the floor plan initially as, this is something we needed. It was filling a need that we saw in our lives and kept me and Monica from having to run all over, to go bottle this product here and that product there. And, some of the brands and some of the projects I'd work on are very labor intensive. So I might have to drive each day to a place to go sample something, or if we're running on the line,
right.
I don't want to have to pay a fee every time I need to go make sure the blend is done how I, exactly to my specifications. So we wanted to build something for that. And for us, building a actual physical facility and a home, that was like a 10-year plan.
Yeah.
This happened a lot faster.
Fast. Yeah. So when did you guys originally start was it 19 or
18?
Okay.
So yeah, I left Four Roses December 2018.
Okay.
I left for Thanksgiving and never came back. Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah, it was wild, and kind of a fun fact with that is when Monica and I realized we had hit a point in our consulting where, I had my number. We always okay, what's your number? Where do you need to be?
Right.
Mm-hmm. We figured out that we had hit the number. We were at a little coffee shop in Shelbyville.
Yeah.
And that coffee shop is actually still there.
Wow.
And so very serendipitous that we ended up in Shelbyville. And I was like, wow, we're here. And then I put my 2 weeks in.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really doing this. I can't believe. And at that point, Clay was, 9 months old?
Wow. Because he's 7 now, right?
He is 7. So he was born March 2018.
Wow.
And by December, I left my very comfortable, stable job and started consulting full time.
That in and of itself could be probably an entire podcast. Just the number one, having the guts to do that. That's huge. So kudos to you for doing that. But the fear and everything that goes into it. People that have owned their own business understand, but if you haven't, you can't really explain that feeling, right? So
that feeling, and I think what made it so to me just a no-brainer and a question is Monica.
Yeah.
Her confidence in my ability, my confidence in her, and just our utter faith in each other and our skills. Because what we were able to do is to blend the two of those together, pun intended. She had the business sense. She brokered bulk whiskey, and that allowed me to be able to focus on production and quality and blending. And, it takes both sides of that to really bring things together.
Sure.
And I always, I have several teachers in my family, and I always said I have a teacher heart. I want to share the knowledge and, teach people to fish rather than hand it to them.
Yeah.
And so I really fell in love with consulting and being able to share the knowledge that I'd gained from the heritage distilleries and help the craft world and the NDPs that, they have that passion that is so infectious to build and grow in a way that helped set them on the right track. Now, I worked myself out of a job, but that was what I wanted to do. And one of the things that got pointed out earlier today is that we've never really advertised. We've never had to, because just word of mouth, we just, the opportunities and being able to help and grow is just, we loved it. And I think our passion comes through in that. And, it got us to a place where partnership with Cutter Group.
Right.
Monica met Bob Cutter, and it started off as the rick houses. And then we're like, hey, we could really use a blending and bottling facility. I didn't want a distillery. There are plenty of distilleries, there's plenty of barrels out and available, but would love a place to be able to truly focus on my blends, bottle, and grow from there. So the blending house was that. And like I started talking about earlier, I designed the footprint of it with several things in mind. One was efficiency, flow. I've been in bottling halls all over the U.S., but also in Europe, in Asia. We went to Japan, and I've seen the most high tech, and I've also seen some that scared me. So from the top to the bottom, and then running those lines. I ran second shift for a long time at Buffalo Trace, and lots of things I was like, man, we could do this better.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the forethought into it. And then we started bringing people on. So our entire team is super small. But one of our first hires was Matt King.
Yeah.
And he was with Leaper's Fork previously. And he worked in the wine industry. He'd work at a distributor. Mm-hmm. And he worked, at all the jobs at Leaper's Fork, I believe. And he was, I think, head distiller and then GM at Leaper's. But, just seeing in him the spark.
Yeah.
That, man, he's got the go-getter. He is so smart and so just forward-thinking. And it's not just what works now. It's how does this affect us in 5 years? And constantly doing that. When he was kind of looking, and I was like, hey, you're looking, and I need someone to come on and help make sure things are going the way they should with the industry knowledge, making sure I can't be there every day. At the time, I was living an hour away. Mm-hmm. And so he was actually our first hire, and absolute blessing. Awesome. He's amazing. He's going to do great things in this industry. And hopefully I can be like a little small part of that, that little nudge somewhere.
Sure.
So we brought him on, and his input was invaluable. We now have someone I worked with at Buffalo Trace, Dave Edmonds. He was bottling manager over Weller and Blanton when I was there. So bringing in his knowledge on setting things up, helping design our bottling line. Matt actually did a lot of that, and we brought Dave in to, and their input, and they've seen it happen.
Yeah.
So again, they're thinking, man, we could do this better. And their, adjustments and shifts and things and suggestions, being able to use that knowledge and influence how we've put things together is just, it's like a Disneyland to me.
Well, that's
honestly
great.
And we now have Alex Lucky on processing as well, and he's the same thing, brings in all the experience.
So when you started this, you had clients that were coming to you for consulting. Mm-hmm. Now you're working with them in the blending house. Do you take on new clients as well? I mean, are you still doing that, or have you we're kind of where we need to be, or?
No. So one of the really cool things is our bottling line has a capacity of about 250,000 cases for a single shift.
Wow. Okay.
And so we are bringing on new clients, bottling clients.
Wow. So I was like, wow.
So we can bring on those new clients. And one of the really neat things, and something that we offer that I think is probably not as well known, but here we are announcing it to the world, and I like to talk about, is that you have the accessibility to me.
Yeah.
So be it just checking out barrels, managing your inventory, monitoring your inventory, to helping smooth out a blend or make it more consistent, how we can do that. So those services that we did with the spirits group, you can now kind of get through the blending house as well. If you're bottling there, you get access to me.
Yeah.
Whereas with, it's not just the consulting side now, but now it's for the clients that are coming there and working with us.
Yeah, that's great. So kind of, I mean, basically one-stop shop. I mean, you guys can do pretty much everything. Inventory management, you can do barrel storage, you can help them with the blending and things like that. Yeah. So when clients come to you and you're working with them, do they just say, hey, here's what we're looking for? Will you just figure this out with these barrels that we have? Or, I mean, is it a hodgepodge, or how does that work?
So it's evolving too, as far as services that are offered. Right now, it's typically coming to us and they have a product.
Okay.
For now, we don't have marketing and things, but you do get the opportunity of you're in our portfolio.
Yeah.
And so as we go into phase 2 and we have a little retail space, you'll have the opportunity to be able to sell on site as well.
Yeah.
But we've had a client come in and it was kind of a rush. Like, we need to have it out by this date so that this person can focus on this really big thing that he's doing. And so one of another many great things is the experience in our team. We were able to identify some issues with their label and their bottle. And they were not only able to identify it, but able to help the team fix them.
Yeah.
And get things like, hey, here's how we're going to fix it, but here's how we're going to prevent it for your next batch.
Yeah.
So we were able to get that out on time for the client. And now we're going to be doing a lot more. And I'm going to be stepping in and helping to fine tune the blend and create consistency and teaching this particular client, helping him learn a little more too.
Sure. And you're great at that. I'll tell even though I may not have retained all the knowledge, you're great at teaching for sure.
I really, really enjoy it. But, and we've spoke with other clients, they come in and they just come for bottling. They're like, wait a minute, we could do more.
Yeah.
So from, hey, we want to do this new expression, helping identify labels or bottles and getting all of that coordinated to, the physical liquid in it and what's the best way to process this to retain the integrity of the liquid.
Yeah.
We've got people that have been doing it for years and have the knowledge and experience that you just can't buy.
Yeah. So I'm curious, Ashley, because, when you started this, obviously you were the consulting group and now you've gone in, you're the blending house and you're doing all this stuff. When you started all this, was this did you envision all this in long term? And has it turned out what you envisioned, or has it really kind of morphed into something that's different than what you kind of expected?
I don't know if I ever truly had a vision.
Okay.
Because I could have never anticipated being where I am.
Yeah.
But even with, when we started consulting, I think eventually I wanted to have maybe a shop, like a bottle shop where I could blend in the back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And not just your living room or your
Yeah, from my kitchen table to my old house, we converted the formal sitting room into a blending lab.
That was a sweet setup though, man.
We have those cabinets at the blending house.
Oh, do you really? Okay.
Yeah, the ones on the big wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured when I was selling the house that no one needed custom cabinets to hold thousands of little sample bottles.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's kind of a fun stop anytime I'm doing a tour with a group at the blending house. I'm like, and this is really our first big investment as the spirits group, was converting my front room into a blending lab. And it's really nice to think about that. I started on my kitchen table.
Yeah.
We went to my blending lab in my house to now we have 30,000 square feet.
Right.
You kind of can split it down the middle. The right side is where barrels come in and out. All our processing and blending happens on that side. The other side is raw materials and finished goods. Mm-hmm. We have two custom-built dump troughs that were designed for us. And we actually, Cutter Engineering designed our mezzanine. We have 16 single-barrel tanks because we always saw a bottleneck with single barrels.
Yeah.
And we can actually add another 16 to it.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So we can we have two lines. We have the high-speed line, which isn't super high speed when you think about it and you think about the big boys, but it's, 30-ish bottles a minute, depending on, how we're running it. We can run it with as few as one person or up to, 5 or 6, whatever the need is. Yeah. We can write on the labels. We can print on the labels so it looks like handwriting. We have our QC code it gets lasered on. We can do all the different tops and the corks. And it is so versatile. You can change it over with like 2 tools, like an Allen wrench and a screwdriver or something.
Wow, that's pretty.
And the guys
impressive.
are so going to make fun of me that I got that so wrong, but that's okay.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's jump back to the sample because we're almost to the end of round 2 here. So let's talk about palate. Matt, now I'm coming to you on this one.
Well, I got to interject real quick.
Yes.
I think when we finally make it big enough, this table here should probably go in the Smithsonian.
Yes.
As a reminder to where we began, just like your cabinets.
Such a nice.
Have
I like this
gone,
table.
yeah, to your new blending home. I think the table should travel.
I found this on Facebook Marketplace.
Wherever we go.
You can find everything on that.
It was crazy. He was selling it. He made it. This guy made it. I think he was in Georgetown, like $350. I offered him $300, and he delivered it. He put it in his truck and drove it down to me.
Wow.
Helped me move it down to the basement. I gave him a bottle I gave him a couple pours while he was here, and then gave him a bottle. So I'm sending him on his merry way.
Yeah, I got the guy half drunk. And then
got him half drunk.
Yeah, that's responsible.
And then sent him on. The only thing we did, the base was white, so Anita and I took it out back and just basically spray painted it black. But yeah, I love the table. So yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Sorry to
I digress
completely
because of
take us off the rails.
Sometimes memory lane is like such a good place to go.
We're gonna get a plaque that says Ashley Barnes once sat here.
That's what we should have. Like,
I should have a little plaque here, Ashley Barnes spot.
That's right. I think we could do that.
All of our guests should have they should sign the table or etch their name into the table.
Ashley's etching pen.
I would say it actually might be in the Jeep.
Oh man.
Because I was looking for it to etch your bottles.
Oh man, I wonder if you can etch on the wood.
I don't know what I did with it. I had to move all of my work stuff out of the Jeep when I was moving stuff out of the house. Like, I need to get all that back in before Friday.
A sweet. I've never had. I mean, that's I love that pen. I don't have to engrave anything, but that was pretty awesome.
It's such a cool little thing. I'm like, okay, I should upgrade, but I don't even know if I can upgrade because it's the right size.
Yeah.
It's such an easy, I feel like I'm writing with a normal pen.
Which is crazy that it etches into the glass. So, all right, Matt, back to the sample, man.
We digress.
That's right.
We've really gone off the rails on that one, so.
A little spicier on the palate with this one. I think this one wakes up a little bit more. There's some more cinnamon, more baking spice. I get kind of like a chai spice. So there's like a little clove, a little vanilla, maybe even like little nutmeg, not like pumpkin spice, but there's like that. Yeah. There's that spicy kind of like a chai note, a little bit herbal, kind of minty, grassy.
There's a peppermint on the end.
Yeah,
there.
Kind of comes down. And I think part of that is it's a touch drying at the end too. Maybe some of that mint is like a little bit drying as it kind of like sweeps through, kind of like menthol style and like kind of
almost like a dark chocolate that drying dark chocolate that it dried me out, but I want another piece.
Yeah.
So can I say something since you said chocolate and you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I almost like. After my third taste, it was almost reminiscent of almost like a Tootsie Roll chocolatey kind of hint that hit like really quick, but it was gone. And I was like, did I really taste that or not? But then you talk about mint, like the second drink, it reminded me of like when I was a kid, my mom would give me a piece of like Wrigley's gum, the mint gum, and you'd chew it. And it was like a quick whiff of mint on the palate for me as well. So Matt, I'm glad you said mint because I'm like, dude, I'm thinking all these things, but the spiciness definitely comes through.
Like an Andes dark chocolate.
Yeah, right. So you get that mintiness, but you get that little bit of hint of dark chocolate as well. So both of those notes, it wasn't like lingering, but they were like a little quick again on the palate for me.
Yeah. What would you pay for this bottle?
40, 50.
Yeah, see, because
a little more than the first one.
Yeah, I would say a touch more, but I think it's a little bit more defined. The first one we talked about, it's like when we were talking about it being an approachable whiskey, there's a lot to talk about with it. At the same time, I also thought it's not a whiskey where a first-time whiskey drinker is going to say, oh my gosh, like, that, totally burned me up. Yeah. Because it didn't drink that way.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't think this one drinks like that either, but there's more
punch.
depth. Yeah.
But I'm going to say high rye on this one too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it was like, again, on the palate, knowing it's 90 proof, it's like, there's a lot of, picking up a lot on my palate.
They're all high rye bourbons.
Okay, well, see, there we go.
Look at you, Mark.
I took a stab.
You sniffed it out.
So do you think it's the same age?
That's a good question. This one to me, actually, I feel like because of its more depth, more character to it, I just naturally want to say that I think it's probably older. Not a lot, but maybe closer to that 6-year.
Yeah, what do you think, Matt?
If it's not a little bit older, I would think that this was aged at a different location, probably somewhere where there's more interaction going on with the barrels, maybe like a higher location or in a corner or a south-facing somewhere, just because it's picking up more barrel influence to me.
Do you think they would be made from the same mash bill?
Ooh, that's a good question.
We can also table it till after you taste the third one.
Yeah, let's do that because I'm not ready to make
or
that.
Or yeast code.
I'm not.
I mean, we got to pull in that Four Roses history.
Gosh. I don't think I'm ready for that yet, Ashley. Maybe we'll talk about that in the third round. See, I'm starting to sweat again. Gosh, no.
There are no wrong answers. We're just discussing them, like, how are they different? What makes them different? You know, the definition of the flavors here, sets it up to a little bit of a higher price point.
Yeah.
And it's not that it it drinks to me a little below a 90 proof, but it's more defined. It's got more oomph to it. You know, you can say, okay, clove, cinnamon, Andes Mint, Tootsie Roll.
Yeah.
Because where I'm getting an Andes Mint, you might get more of a Tootsie Roll. Just because they're different doesn't mean they're not the same. We're going to perceive things differently on our palates. I tend to relate a lot of my flavors and tastes to childhood experiences or life experiences.
Right.
We don't want to relate to some of my more recent ones with dirty diapers. None of that is here.
Thank the Lord.
But more than once, I'm like, I've smelled that before, and we don't want to go near it again. So,
Here's what I'll say to close out the second round. Because I get that same kind of sweetness, even though it's different. There's still that sweetness. There's still that spicy rye. I'm going to guess that these are probably very close to the same mash bill. But like Matt said, the maturation on this barrel was different. Whether that was a different location, whatever impacted the actual maturation in the barrel. But I'm gonna say that these mash bills are probably very similar. So I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that. Does that sound? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's take a quick break, get a word from our sponsors. We'll come back with more with Ashley Barnes with the Blending House in just a minute. Welcome to the kitchen table at James B. Beam Distilling Company, where every visit is a celebration of tradition and flavor. Did you know that the kitchen table is nestled right within the heart of the distillery? That's right. You can experience the essence of James B. Beam's legacy while savoring their delectable dishes. Join them every Wednesday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. for a culinary journey like no other. Planning a special event? Let the kitchen table be your host, creating unforgettable memories for you and your guests. And don't miss their upcoming Claremont Supper Club event on November 20th, featuring the release of the new Knob Creek 21-year-old bourbon. For more information and reservations, visit beamdistilling.com. The kitchen table at James B. Beam Distilling Company. Come as a friend, leave as family. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me here still in the Bourbon Life Studios live, it is my good friend, Matt. Matt, how you doing down there?
Mark, it's looking good down here.
It's looking good. We got glasses with bourbon. We got bottles on the table. We got a great guest here with us. Who could ask for anything more to start 2026, right?
That's right. How are things in mission control there?
Man, everything, still recording. I'm looking around, making sure. Man, got it under control. Not bad for forgetting half of what I'm supposed to be doing.
That's right.
It's muscle memory.
That's exactly right. It's muscle memory. I got to work on that with my palate though too. I got to get that built back into shape. But anyway, Matt, I digress again. But we thank all of our sponsors for everything they do with us. And Matt, tell everybody who we have with us. Let's just get to the good stuff. Okay?
That's right. Joining us this morning, this evening, this afternoon, whenever it is you're getting your Bourbon Life fix, is Ashley Barnes, co-founder, master blender at the Blending House. We have got an exciting round 3.
We do.
Queued up here.
I'm so excited. Like the anticipation is building. And I love all the feedback that you guys have had, the discussion. I love it. Because like I said, this is kind of a window into some of the things that, the decisions and the thought process that I have, when I'm working and blending.
So we can actually pay attention to the lady behind the curtain now, because we're pull it back and see what you're doing there.
Absolutely. And it's a really cool way, we're going to look at this third sample and then, the big reveal of the details here. But just kind of, it's more than just tasting and throwing barrels together, things that have to be considered, what price point are we looking at? Mm-hmm. Who are we looking to be the consumer here? Where's the end consumer going to be? Is this something for a new bourbon drinker? Is this something for a little more experience? Do we want it to go towards something you can sit out back and smoke a cigar with?
Yeah.
What are we looking for here? And it's not just now doing limited editions. It's let's make it taste amazing. But even then, you're considering, who's the consumer? Who's going to be drinking this, and where do we want it to go?
Let me ask you a question real quick on the second one. This is going to sound weird, but my tasting notes, right? Mm-hmm. So, do you remember when you were a kid and you used to sharpen your pencil?
Yeah.
Matt,
on the wall with the little crank.
And do you remember the smell of the shavings and the fresh?
Yeah, the metallic, but yet the sawdusty note.
Almost that woody, sawdusty. Okay.
Fun fact, pencils don't smell like that anymore.
They don't?
No, because I was trying to I was doing a sensory training and I wanted to have that pencil shaving smell.
Okay.
So the morning, like an hour and a half before the sensory training I was doing, had a little pencil sharpener collecting my shavings. And I was like, these do not.
It didn't work.
They're not the same. And I even like intentionally found pencils that were like wood.
Yeah.
And no, they've like compressed it and added so many different chemicals and things now that
Oh, man.
it's not the same.
Because the nose at some point, like I picked up a whiff. Matt's shaking his head down there, man.
You mean to tell me a Ticonderoga number 2 doesn't
not the same.
Ticonderoga?
Ticonderoga
That
number
was
2.
the exact pencil I was using, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I was like, of all the ones.
a Ticonderoga. That's the number 2 pencil.
Got to get those pencil flavored pencils anymore.
So,
Well, you don't get Band-Aid flavored Band-Aids anymore either.
oh,
Like
really?
that medicinal plastic smell
like a
Band-Aid.
nice peated scotch.
Yeah, I was looking for that. I was like, oh, I'll just go buy some Band-Aids. Yeah, no, they don't smell the same anymore. And I got some really funny looks going through all the Band-Aids that smell like the boxes.
So, just from a sensory perception, what would you say? Pencil shavings? I mean, does that? Okay.
Because I think majority, if you're old enough to be consuming and tasting bourbon,
Yeah.
most of us know what pencil shavings.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, it's a very standard part of our childhood.
Yeah. And I
Now,
don't get it
the
that
newer, younger ones may not.
often. Right. Well, obviously they've changed the pencils now too. These kids are missing out, right?
yeah, I mean, and then Mark, back in your days, you were sharpening your chisel, right?
Yeah, we were writing on stone.
Yeah, when you were engraving your tablets. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the smell of the dust off the stones when we were hammering and chiseling. Yes, Matt, that's very funny. Ha ha. Okay, I just want to make sure because I've smelled it a few times and we've talked about it on different episodes, right?
Quite often, this is if you're not chewing your baseball glove, it's often that you're sharpening your pencil.
You know what? I know what leather tastes like, all right? Because I used to chew on my baseball glove when I was a kid. I mean,
Yeah, but that's a defined sensory experience for
going
you.
back to life experiences, like the gum. I said, the Wrigley's gum that my mom would give me as a kid. I just remember that smell, and that kind of triggers those.
And Wrigley's mint gum has its own unique flavor, like juicy fruit.
Right.
Yep.
We always had that was a treat, but the Wrigley's mint, Grandma always had that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That it's a distinct sweet peppermint. You don't get the full like cooling note that peppermint typically gives, but it's just a unique palate experience.
Because it's a double mint.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's.
See, Matt, go ahead and make fun of me some more. Ashley's got my back. Man.
I'm not going to. I actually chewed some today.
You did you really?
Yeah.
Double mint?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I love these sensory conversations because it's just something people don't think about. But when we're talking, when Matt and I are talking, when you and I are talking, we did this when we were working on your bourbon master thing. Just talking through that helps to relate what you're smelling and tasting in the bourbon.
Yeah.
And that's how you get it defined. I mean, obviously in these samples, some are more defined than others, but being able to really pinpoint that. Yeah. Because then what's really fun for me, being the nerd that I am, is, okay, now what is that? Is it an acetaldehyde? Is it isoamyl acetate? What are we doing? And then is it because it's in a larger concentration? Is it going to evolve into something else? Or is it like where it's going to be and it's only going to cause astringency later? Or how does that work? And where does it come from?
You just went way over my head. No, I'm just kidding.
But that's how my brain works, and I've got.
But that's really cool that you can do it. So, can you break down? Do you have what's the device called? Whatever.
GC mass spec.
You guys. Yeah.
So I'm hoping to find a big brother that has deeper pockets than me.
Because they're only like 250,000 or 400. Or they're like crazy
just
expensive.
Pocket change.
Yeah, they're crazy expensive, right?
No, so. We don't have one yet. However, I did make sure the lab was big enough that I hope to one day be a research hub. So another thing with the blending house is we do have a 100-gallon pot still. And we can go up to a 500-gallon in our facility.
Nice.
But it's for really research.
Yeah.
Obviously we unlocked a lot of accessibility and, perks to having our DSP there for retail and all the things. But it gives an opportunity for distillers that maybe have a large still but want to try out some new mash bills or play with some yeast, that we also have, space to do a little yeast research. Run a few barrels, see how it goes, figure out where you need to make your cuts or what temperatures you need to run at. and do it on a small scale for research.
Yeah.
And then you can scale it into the larger batches if you so choose.
I don't think I knew that you guys had a DSP.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that. That's awesome. Because I was just going to say, well, how are you guys distilling? And
so we're just doing it on the R&D side. So I think we have to do 600 proof gallons a year,
right.
And we'll do that. We do have a gin basket, so I've got some things that I've been working on. It gives that opportunity for research there, and then we contract distill with Kentucky Whiskey House. For the volume.
Yeah.
But as far as the blending house goes, that's just another entity. There's the R&D aspect for the still, of course, bottling. You've got the experience across the board from processing, bottling, distilling, that can help troubleshoot and develop. And then, you've got blending from my aspect as well. So we really have a team that can provide so much insight and guidance to help. Not necessarily curate, because you're going to come in there with your brand and what you want.
Sure.
But then we can help put that in a way and bring things together. And maybe it's just looking at your packaging and how can you find a cheaper bottle that's still good, of quality, that you can maybe get more quickly. Because sometimes that is like, well, we've been using this bottle, but man, it's hard to get. These guys we've got so many relationships, and they're long-standing relationships, and that's, something that it's so invaluable.
Yeah.
Make a phone call, like, well, we haven't done that lately, but I know a guy.
Yeah.
That's kind of a fun thing. It's like, okay, I don't know a guy. Do you know a guy? And we just, someone always knows someone, and we can figure it out. And I love our team in that, if there is something that comes up, when they come to me or whoever, it's always, so here's what we ran into and here's how we think we can fix it. It's never just, hey, we've got a problem, now what? They're always thinking, and that we approach that. We treat everybody just like it's our product.
Yeah, which is great. Let's talk about the sample here that we got poured up on this first one. Ashley, you want to give your nosing note? I mean, you and Matt can just have a conversation about it. So.
We don't want to leave you out.
It's okay.
So this one we talked about, the Wrigley's. This hits a little more on the spearmint, like a sweet spearmint on the nose. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's sweet, but it's not defined. A little more butterscotchy. I'm trying to think.
Would you think I was crazy if I said I smelled buttered popcorn?
No. Almost cardamom on it.
Okay.
But it's not bad, but.
So this to me is a darker sweetness, like blackberry jam or like a compote, or
definitely richer.
Like think of what would boil over out of a pie. If you're like making,
that caramelized sugars.
Yeah, the caramelized sugar and the fruit that like might boil over. You kind of whip your finger through it, and it's like super concentrated sweetness. But again, like nondescript. I can't tell you this is like a blackberry or a cherry, but it's just like this a darker compote type of a sweetness to it. Mark, I think what you were saying with buttered popcorn right at the start, I got like more of a buttery, little more oaky, a little older. Oakier, kind of some toasted notes as well. I think there was a little bit more of that graham cracker, a little bit more campfire right up front. Cardamom, some of that like mint or baking spice is definitely there as well. I really like cardamom, mixing that in with sweeter notes, like if you're making a jelly or something, like using fruit and cardamom to balance those off when I'm cooking. It's one of my favorite combinations. I think that comes across really well in the nose on this one. But to me, it's fuller. The nose on this one is richer. It's fuller. There's more body.
There's more body, but I feel like the palate and finish is not as complete. It just kind of, it's a crisper finish.
Okay.
I jumped ahead.
We can go ahead and do that, because I don't want to, because I know we're going to come back and talk about all three. So if you want to go ahead and taste it as well. Were there any other nosing notes on that for you?
I get a little more, little higher phenols, a little more mechanical, almost like oily. Like the fusels are higher in it, on it. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like when you're thinking about an older whiskey, when you're thinking about even a higher end whiskey at a higher proof, you get a little more oiliness.
Yeah.
And I do get that on the nose here. But since I jumped ahead and tasted it, I thought y'all had already tasted it.
No, but we can do it because I mean I know
Yeah.
we kind of jibber jabber. I always call it jibber jabbering with my wife. My wife jibber jabbers, you know. So and I jibber jabber sometimes, but
I should record Brody talking right now because he jibber jabbers.
he jibber jabbers
all
Okay.
the time.
Yeah.
And then he'll like scream really loud, or he'll go, and cat? And you're like, what did I just agree to for you to do to the cat? Because then he will point his finger and go off with purpose. And I'm like, oh no, I agreed to something.
Kind of sounds like our podcast, you know. We just jibber jabber and then we scream something.
Yeah.
Bourbon. So Matt, what about your palate on this one?
It's a little thinner. Like it took a while to develop. At first sip, front of the palate, you don't really get much. Mid palate, I didn't really get much. It just kind of sits. Like it's not immediately flavorful, and then it kind of develops. I get a little bit of like tea note, like a dark black tea coming through. There's a little bit throughout all of these. There's kind of been this honey sweetness, sugary type sweetness. I think on the first one it was a little bit more like honey. On the second one, kind of somewhat of a fruited sweetness. This one, it just has sort of that like a nondescript sweetness. I don't know if it's a like sugary sweetness, a fruited.
I'm gonna go like
sweetness.
A dark caramel, like a truly dark caramel where the sugar's been burnt a touch. Mm-hmm. You know, you get a little bitterness. And almost get like a Chinese 5-spice on this.
Okay.
I mean, it is very reminiscent of some of the, you know, like Chinese foods or, you know, that kind of style that uses some of the spice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see it almost like a brown butter type note. There's sort of like...
But for me, and this is a personal problem for me, I think I've made products, I know people that enjoy it, it just ends.
Yeah.
It's crisp. Like, okay, I'm done. Bye.
Yeah.
There's no finish. There's no rolling evolution. It's just like, peace out. I'm done.
Yeah. And this is something that I learned from you, Ashley, was the sugar snap peas.
Yeah.
To cleanse it kind of, it's like that. It's like crisp and out.
Yeah.
Like there's no long finish. It's like my palate feels fairly refreshed after a sip of this.
Yeah, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that's what you want in your bourbon.
Yeah. The second one to me, you know, like Matt had mentioned even that was a little drying. This one does not have that same effect for me, but I did, on the second one, I was getting a little bit of that kind of a dry finish on it. This one does, I still pick up that sweetness like you said, Matt. And then there's just a spiciness, but I'm not sure, maybe it is like you said, because it's not, to me, it's not like cinnamon and it's not like mint or I don't know, it's just, but it's spicy, like on my palate.
Yeah.
It's just it tastes spicy.
It tastes spicy.
It's like me, it's spicy. No, I'm just kidding.
Just a little spice to it.
Oh, yeah, whatever for me. Goodness gracious. No, but I mean, I like it, right? Again, it's a 90 proof kind of I don't want to say easy drinker, but it is one that's, you know, if you're not used to drinking bourbon, you could enjoy this. And, it, you know, and the nose, I like the flavors we're getting, but the palate, like Matt said, initially there's not a lot to it. It does kind of bloom a little bit after that. But yeah, I mean, I like it.
Nose to palate is a different experience on this
It's
one.
a little disjointed.
Yeah, very much so. The nose was really full. It was like blooming. I thought this was going to be a big, rich, dark depth, like really deep whiskey, and it's different. Kind of the experiment and the fun of not always having a connected nose and palate.
Yeah, and that's, you know, when people, you know, when you're reading tasting notes or if I'm providing feedback at a competition, I'll say it's disjointed. You know, if your nose and your palate don't match up, then it kind of, you know, the experience isn't there.
Yeah.
You're left wanting. And, you know, if I get this big floral, robust nose, I'm like, man, this is going to be good. And I taste it and it's thin and dissipates. I'm like, oh, it's a letdown.
Yeah.
And that's another reason I like to do this kind of blind 3 samples that all express differently is to help show that. I'm like, so this is what disjointed is. This is what we mean when we say that.
Yeah.
And help to kind of just put, you know, kind of like putting a face to a name. And then it's like, oh, that's what that is. And as a blender, you know, I'm like, okay, I could see people drinking this still. It's not bad.
Yeah.
But is this going to work for our target consumer base?
Right.
For whatever this product may be.
And that's what I was thinking, because you'd ask, pricing. So I would not pay as much for this one, as I would the second one. Or maybe even the first one. I think I'd still pay more for those maybe than this one.
I would.
Just kind of my preference. I know you didn't ask the question yet, but I was just...
It was coming.
I'm just jumping ahead, Ashley.
There you go.
Stealing your thunder. I'm so sorry.
You're anticipating. That is a good host.
Matt, what about you? What do you think about that?
I'm just still a little let down with how lovely the nose was, and kind of how flat the palate is. It's like the nose of a good Kentucky bourbon and the palate of like an average Canadian whiskey.
I like that. That is a really good way to put it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So let's talk about, because we're almost at the end of the show, believe it or not, Ashley. It's crazy. I had all these questions, and I'm like, we've just had such a fun conversation. It's like, I don't think I've asked maybe one question off of here, so which is funny, which means we'll have to do another show. And I can ask the questions.
I know, but I knew I wanted, as soon as you texted me and asked me, I was like, no, we got to do this, because you two are going to be so fun to do it with.
I think it's great. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. So let's talk about then, however you wanted to do your reveal.
My big reveal.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. What's really cool, what do you think about 3? We got to get a little details. Do you think it's, we know
rye.
we've confirmed high
90
rye.
proof.
Do you think it's the same age?
I would.
I would guess it is a touch older than the rest. I would guess a touch older.
Touch older.
I would think 2 was older than this one.
Ooh, interesting. Do you think it is the same producer?
Ooh.
I could see 1 and 2 being same producer, maybe even same mash bill,
but not this one.
Different ages or different maturation. I could see 3 being much different. Yeah. I could even see number 2 being like a blend of 1 and 3. But
interesting. I like the way your brain works.
I'm kind of going with where he was headed first before he took that that left turn to the 1 and 3 blend. But no, I'm thinking 1 and 2 are probably same mash bill, probably even the same distiller. But I think 3 is just out there kind of by itself. Other than being high rye, 90 proof. Yeah, I don't think the mash.
I'm going to blow your mind.
Oh my gosh. All right.
So these are all 18 barrel blends.
Okay.
And they are the exact same 18 barrels.
Crap.
The only difference is the techniques that were used to blend them.
Are you serious?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
So sample 1 was, I evaluated each of the barrels. Actually, I evaluated intending on a 20 barrel blend, but I kicked 2 of the barrels out because they were not team players. But I isolated them into general profiles, general flavor profiles. Mm-hmm. So at barrel strength, isolated into their flavor groups, allowed to rest for 12 hours, brought them together, allowed them to rest for 12 hours, and then cut to 90 proof, 12 hours, and then into a bottle. So it was defined into those groups. So the specific flavors were not well developed, but we could say fruit or spice or... we could give that general direction in that one. And these, I have to caveat this with, or lead into it with, this isn't always the case. But for this set of barrels, those defined yet undefined groups, just general groups, kind of produce that in the end profile. But it was balanced. It brought everything together. One of the things when you're blending, by putting like with like, you're able to enhance specific flavors and really highlight that. So when you put them together, it's like they boost their confidence to shine once you put it into the larger blend. Mm-hmm. Just to put it as plainly. There's a whole chemistry part of that, but we won't go that deep. So then blend 2, I took those 3 groups and broke them out even further. So in the fruit group, there were some barrels that were very clearly apple that I really wanted to highlight. So I put the apple barrels together from that fruit group, and then allowed the other group, which kind of brought in more of that like white grape.
Okay.
More of that white grape sweetness. So when I put them together, you get white grape, peach kind of flavors, the way these reacted. And then on the, what I would call the base or a structure group, there was some very defined vanilla barrels. And I actually had a podcast, was recording in my lab at the blending house, and they were like, oh, can we taste that vanilla one? It tasted like a vanilla cupcake. Like I had put birthday cake flavoring in it. And I was like, man, that's what I should have been putting in front of people.
Yeah.
So a little peek into the future is next time I do these, I might go with full on like, oh, this tastes like a birthday cake. Oh, this tastes like a cherry sucker. But
nice.
We'll see. So this one not only had the flavor groups, but more specifically targeting certain flavors, which is how we got that more defined flavor in the second group. Second one. And then the third one is probably one of the most common methods used. I like to call it the dump and pray. So everything went in at the same time.
Okay.
I do allow 12 hours for the organics to react naturally between each step. It breaks my heart when people, let's do blending, and they'll blend 2 or 3 things all in the same time. I'm like, but the reactions haven't finished. So then you kind of force other reactions, and you can just change even by doing that. By, if you add water ahead of time, then water bonds are stronger than alcohol bonds, and that's going to change what compounds are created through that. Right. So yeah, and then, once everything was all blended at barrel strength, and I cut everything to 90 proof, so we were across the board the same. But they are the exact same barrels used in the exact same volume of each barrel, and everything's the same age.
What an experiment.
My mind is blown.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, that's crazy.
So when I'm blending and I'm making blends for a product or a client, I might have these 3 sitting in front of me, and I'm like, okay, well, what's our price point?
Right.
How can I put a value onto this? Does it fit the consumer that, this brand is wanting to look for? Or does it fit the price point?
Right.
Am I going to put this in a bottle and say, oh, it's $300? No.
Right.
No, I'm not going to do that. But, those are things that on top of the blend and what the barrels are and what the barrel's bringing, do I need to pull a barrel out, on top of those things? If I'm developing something, these are genuine questions that I'm going through every day.
That's just crazy. I mean, honestly, I still can't believe that you got us. You got us good.
See, I already knew what to do. I was like, no, I know what I'm going to do. And none of these, like I said, these were a project I was working on that never really came to be. We actually completely switched to a different set of barrels. And I was like, no, I think this is something people would enjoy seeing. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that really does. It speaks volume to the work that you do, the intentionality, why you're doing things. And I think more than just we can sit here and talk about how it speaks volume to that, but tasting why it does. The fact that number 3, which was just the dump and pray method, was
I'm sure there's a better answer, but
no, that's a great.
Yeah, and that's, I'm sure a lot of brands have been successful on that method, and it's worked well for them. But we can, all 3 of us have sat here unequivocally and tasted all 3, and I would have to say the one that was just throw whiskey together, bottle whiskey, and call it good was not the was the worst. Was our least was the biggest. In some ways the biggest letdown. In that it had this great nose to it, but
if you're not comparing it to other blends side by side like that, it may not appear to be
right.
Like we're sitting here comparing the 3 of them, and that's where just trying other things and knowing what's going on. I had a thought and I lost it.
But that's why you're the master blender. I mean,
well, just tasting in general. It's so important, and seeing how those evolve. Like I said, I've done this with a few classes, and when I do blending classes, this is the stuff we do. Or we might taste individual groups and then how they come together as a whole.
Yeah.
And I like to show that. And I have seen, and I know what I was going to say, as a production person, if the dump and pray works, we celebrate. Because, that is so straightforward, and you're not having to put things in different tanks and pump them over, and it makes life easier. But that's not always the best case scenario. You know, sometimes you really need to put in the work to get the higher quality product.
Right.
I'm trying to teach my 7-year-old that right now. Any tips?
Well, I think what's really cool, just the intentionality that you put into it. I mean, it shows that, you know, when you're very intentional about what you're doing, that it makes a difference. I mean, I never would have guessed, obviously, that these were the same barrels, just blended in different ways. But the way that you've done it makes a huge difference. And number 2 was my favorite. And obviously, number 2 was the one that took probably the most time, most effort, you know, to really think it through and how you're going to do it. And to me, that was the best one of the 3.
Yeah.
So.
And that, you know, it worked with these barrels, but I've also seen it where I broke it down too much and it's like too many liters. There's conflicting. You have the disjointed opportunity, but you also have this thing's trying to be everything and it doesn't know what it wants to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there is a balance in that you have to look for and achieve as well. And then you still also have to hit your volumes. How many do you need to produce? You know, like I said, this started as a 20 barrel blend and it ended up being 18 because I had two unfriendlies. Those usually end up being the single barrels because
they don't play well with others.
Parts.
Yeah,
right.
You know, they're like, no, I've got the top notes, I've got the finish. I don't need any help from anybody. And as soon as you pull that out, the rest of the blend falls into place. Mm-hmm. And we joke, you know, when a friend of mine has her second born, is like my second born is a true second child. You know, they're single barrels.
Hey, wait, I was a second child.
I was too.
Okay, all right. All right.
See, Matt, we're all second children.
There you go.
But, you know, it's just it's something to think about. You know, that's just sometimes it's how you put that team together, just like a sports team or a academic team, any kind of team.
Or a blending team.
A blending team?
Yeah, for sure. Well, Ashley, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. I mean, eye-opening for sure, into pulling the curtain back into the magic of how blending is done and how you do it specifically. And just, such a cool experiment. Thanks for using us as your guinea pigs.
Maybe a little different than you may have thought for your first episode, but I like going against the grain a little bit.
And I'm going to say this, and I don't want to embarrass you, but the difference between you as a first guest and you as a third guest, it's pretty incredible. In terms of
I need to go listen to that.
I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yeah.
But I just mean your comfort level, being, you know, speaking to the camera and on a mic and everything. It's awesome to see the progression that you've made because you know you are the face of this brand and this business, and it's important, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, so I don't mean that to embarrass you, but you.
Well, thank you. That means I'm heading in the right direction.
You are definitely headed in the right direction. But so, any final thoughts you want to share before we wrap it up tonight?
Well, just never count bourbon out. There's always something for everybody. You just might need to tweak the blend a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. Matt, final thoughts from you, man, before we get out of here tonight.
Ashley, thank you so much. I'm sorry this is the first time we've had the pleasure of sitting around the rectangular table with you. But let's not wait to do it again. We'll come out to your place for the next one.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. You guys definitely need to come up and check it out. It's something to see.
I promise we will do that. I promise. And we'll record
How many years has he been saying that?
I know.
He's waiting for an earthquake, and then we'll be in brick house number 1.
We'll go to warehouse 1.
Yeah, warehouse 1.
We'll tap a barrel and we'll have a good time.
Yeah, we'll ride it out.
Right out the earthquakes or tornadoes or whatever happens.
There we go.
But Ashley, thank you so much for being here. Like I said, you're one of my favorite people in the whole world, and it's definitely in this industry for sure. And I'm just so impressed with what you guys are doing and how you've progressed with everything. So kudos to you for chasing your dream and taking that risk, because I know it was a big risk. But you're obviously doing very well with that. And I'm super excited for you, and I'm excited to see how things continue to grow for you guys, because you guys are doing some really good stuff. So
I think there's a big bright future and lots of exciting things coming.
Awesome.
Especially
and
now
thank you for coming over tonight. Like Matt said, I mean, so happy to have you here for the first time, third time guest, but first time in the studio. So thank you for taking the time for doing that. And thank you guys, our listeners out there, for tuning in. Like Matt always says, whatever time of day it is, morning, noon, or night, whenever it is, you get your Bourbon Life fix. We really appreciate you guys joining us and listening in. We want to thank all our sponsors as well. We appreciate everything they do for us. Don't forget to check out the Whiskey Trip Podcast. Our friend Big Chief Mike is doing his show, comes out every Tuesday under our umbrella, so you can check him out on Facebook and Instagram. We're also on Instagram and Facebook as you guys are too, right? We should probably say that, so people can find you guys.
Yeah, the Blending House is on Instagram and Facebook, as well as I am on Instagram and Facebook. Yeah. And if you're super brave, I'm attempting to dip my toe in TikTok. No promises.
We're gonna do it.
Social media and I are. It's a challenge. So always looking for some help. I try to. My kids aren't old enough to be social media experts yet. So
exactly. Yeah. Well, we're on there too as the Bourbon Life, Facebook and Instagram. We have the private Facebook group, the Bourbon Lifers. Jump in there, join us. We'd love to have you do that. If you want to ask us any questions, feel free to send us a message on Facebook or Instagram, or you can email us at thebourbonlife@gmail.com. We're happy to respond to your texts or emails, anything you want to send us. We'd be happy to do that. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to the show every week. And with that said, I'm going to wrap it up. Send us home with our tagline, which is, may your glasses always be full, and may you keep on living the Bourbon Life.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the Bourbon Life Podcast. Our mission at the Bourbon Life is simple: to share our passion for all things bourbon with you every week. And we'd really love to hear your thoughts on how we're doing. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at The Bourbon Life. You can also contact us by email at thebourbonlife@gmail.com. And you can always find us on your favorite podcast platform. If you have a moment, we'd love it if you would rate us and give us a review. So until next week, we hope your glass is always full and that you keep on living the Bourbon Life.